friends, Harvey Michaels here. Welcome back to our wild ride with Danshui President Plunge Spear Bloom, a story that had me on the edge of my seat while writing it. I'm excited to share a taste with you today. If you're new here, go ahead and tap that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss what's coming next. All right, let's jump in.
Chapter 7, Tendrils of Blue, B-Team. While everyone was distracted with Paul Hu's injuries, the B-Team strode inside, pistols in hand. Coco had stepped back from the attention after pounding Paul and was first to detect the B-Team entering. Discerning feet crunching broken glass, she tensed, alert, and without saying anything, she moved low, crab-like, bounding back away in a circle to come around and surprise them. Her father ignores the duct tape squeezing his aching gunshot neck flesh wound and ignores their guns and steps toward the taller of the two. They were supposedly friends before this. "Stop, Abao. Wait, just wait." Abao is flying so high, his body is humming. Certain his chance to make the A-Team boils down to this, he psyched himself up for violent action on the drive over with much too much amphetamine. His eye is twitching every half second like a stuck windshield wiper, and now, nostrils inflated and teeth bared, he holds out his revolver sideways. "Sit down, turtle skipper." His other hand motions for his cousin Jin-sung to go look around. Once Jin-sung disappears to scout inside the fish chopper, with no hesitation, Turtle Skipper's friend shoots him in the center of his thigh. Coco flies out from nowhere, sliding under the man's gun hand. She hits him with a dizzying array of kicks and punches to the head and body, gradually harder and harder at the finish, nearly killing him. There is a 3-meter trail of blood from where she started pulverizing the man who shot her father. She remembers her promise to Sanbao and wills her bloodied fists and elbows to stop swinging. The man slinks down, rolls on his stomach, beaten senseless. All around his nose is unrecognizable for anything but raw meat. 3 bloody teeth lie on the ground around his face. A single groan bubbles from his mouth, and 2 more teeth spill out. Without looking back to Sanbao, Dee, and Paul, Coco runs over to her father. She helps Ahua sit up in case they need to escape and hide. They can't see over where Sanbao, Paul, and Dee are, but they hear a shout and a gunshot ring out. Then 5 more shots fire and echo inside the fish chopper. All this fuss over one rich old man, Jin-sung drawled in his winter shell vest. He was scouting around as his cousin told him to when he heard Abao shoot Turtle Skipper. There were no sounds in the fish chopper anywhere but up front, so Jin-sung walked in a roundabout flanking half circle through stacks of boxes until he saw Wang Sanbao sitting against the wall, legs straight out from him. Jin-sung, bulkier of the 2 B-Team cousins, with the buzz-cut hair on his extra-large skull and the ugly spider tattoo enveloping his wrist, appeared calmer because he is more Gaoliang intoxicated than his just-crushed cousin Abao, who was more amped up on amphetamines. "It's over, young man. You should just go," Sanbao said as loudly as he has strength to say, barely audible to the gunmen. "Oh, that I will, but first I will dispatch you to hell, old man." Neighbors. After so many gunshots, and already alerted and annoyed by the fish chopper crashing racket, neighbors all call emergency numbers. Most of them call 119, but many call the Sanger local police number, and others call news channels. Some neighbors call all 3. Fish chopper. More of the spider tattoo showed as B-teamer Jin Sung lifted his gun. I didn't think it out. I just ran in front of Sanbao. "No! No!" I cried out. This man is my brother. I knew of him for many years, but always anonymously, always from a distance. Now I finally know him and love him. The immediate gun threat came from nowhere, and I only thought in a bolt of feeling, Sanbao has to live. Maybe the vested man would put the gun down. Maybe he would shoot. Surely I could take a bullet and live, but live or not, I knew I had to block Sanbao from this attempt on his life. That was the last thing I remembered before I died. Paul heard everything on his short walk to recover from Coco's beating. He thought he would walk one way and back, try to gain some control from the throbbing, knifing trauma of newly broken bones in his jaw and especially his ribs. Paul felt deep stomach bruises he forgot about from 24 hours earlier climbing over rocks on the Fisherman's Wharf seawall, and those from an earlier shin and thigh pounding in the hills above Bali Police Precinct. Stopping at the truck trailer, he turned back slowly, hurting just to breathe, telling his body to plod back. Then everything happened fast. A gun boomed off to the right, but he couldn't change directions just then because there was too much warehoused stuff blocking that path. He heard a furious, one-sided fist fight where the shot came from. Coming to a clearing closer to the left wall, Paul heard, without yet seeing, a man say, "He will dispatch you to hell." Then, emerging near, he saw Dee shout "no" and jump into the path of the gunfire. Dee was spun and flung backward beyond Sanbao. Police academy training in his muscle memory acted before Paul could decide what to do. He drew his weapon. In the same motion, he pulled the slide chambering around and began firing to his line of sight without aiming. He walked up to the man, getting off 5 fast shots before stopping. He thought to save the rest of the ammunition in the gun's clip. The first bullet grazed Jin Sung's chest. The second hit his upper arm, turning the man to face Paul. And the next 3 all went where police are taught to deliver deadly force, center mass. Coco comes running past Paul and the dying man he just riddled with bullets, fearing Sanbao is shot dead. Sanbao is weeping, looking at the remaining pile of man that is Dee. Sanbao waves Coco to help his decades-long secret partner, who in the last hours became his dear brother. Crumpled halfway over some boxes, Coco straightens Dee out to more comfortably lie flat. He groans and chokes on his own blood. Bubbles of blood come from his mouth. She lifts him enough to cradle him and turns his head to one side to let the blood come out. Coco trembles, supporting Dee. She had never been this close to a gunshot. Now here was this enigma of a man she respected without knowing, and he was broken and in her arms after he sacrificed himself to save the other new essential man in her life. He's breathing, barely. Coco, help him. Do what you can, Coco pleads with her. Sanbao prays out loud, entreating God with the limited strength he has. For his family, Lord, for your glory, Lord, save this child of yours. Then he falls back, passed out. Just at that moment, 3 more gunshots ring out, timed as if they hit Sanbao. After shooting the spider-tattooed man who first shot the man called Dee, Paul went to find out the story behind the first gunshot. He walked in a straight line from where Sanbao and Dee were to where Coco had left the fallen man. Paul had seen many bar fight aftermaths, but he never saw such a thrashed face lying prone on the floor, surrounded by blood and teeth. Paul glances at the unmoving man. One leg is bent wrong. He smelled Gaoliang liquor on the man and walked past to check on Ahua. "Are you okay, Skipper?" Paul asked through gritted teeth. Will you be ready to move out in a minute? The police will be here any time now." Each word pained Paul to say with his broken jaw. "Yes," Ahua simply said. Then he asked the question he nearly didn't dare to ask. "What about the others?" "D was shot. Straight on chest wound. It's bad." He looked back toward where Sanbao and Coco were. "Your daughter is with him, doing what little she can." Paul saw Ahua's face register alarm. He moved even before he heard Ahua shout, "He's got a gun!" The hamburger-faced man played possum until Paul walked by him. Ahua saw him roll up onto his side to pull out his pistol, starting to reach with the gun to point it like a finger to aim it over at Sanbao. Paul shifted his feet with cat-like speed, drawing his weapon again. Paul turned so quickly the man was still on his side, swinging the gun in an arc to line up for a straight shot. "No," Paul said as he fired and stepped straight up to the already close man. The first shot in the chest bashed the man over on his back, and the second shot flattened him there. But the sky-high drugged B-teamer somehow still reached with the pistol when Paul's third shot through his forehead ended it. Paul was so close the headshot sprayed a bloody mess. Paul's pants were splattered, along with the Glock handgun and Paul's shooting hand. Ahua and Paul's ears are ringing. There are tendrils of blue gun smoke circling. Paul shudders and speaks to himself in Ahua's direction. All I kept thinking was, I can't let him get off a shot. "I know one thing, officer. You did nothing wrong. It was an ugly thing to do, and I'm glad someone was here who could do it." Ahua struggles to stand up, pain etched on his face from the bullet in his thigh. "Here, let me help." Paul snaps from his reverie. He puts Ahua's arm around his own shoulder, and they amble over to Ahua's weeping daughter, barely conscious Sanbao, and D, who they fear the worst for. Paul lowers Ahua to sit on a banana box full of papers. "It's over, officer. All 6 of them are gone. That was Kingfish's entire army," Ahua says, and turns to the sound of 1 or 2 helicopters approaching, getting louder and louder. "Who does that, Skipper?" Paul's eyes quiver. "I saw it. He ran in front of Wang Sanbao to take the bullet for him." Paul sighs through his nose, and his voice gives off a sob sound. "I wish I knew him better." "You and me both, officer," Ahua says, both of them with wet and sad eyes. "And please call me Ahua." "Sure, Ahua, and you call me Paul. We are friends, good friends now." Paul looks at him intently before remembering they need to get back to action. For the second time in his life, the second time in a day, he rips off his belt and quickly ties a tourniquet over a bleeding thigh. "Here, you sit down here and wait for the medics." Coco is pressing Dee's entry and exit wounds, saying quiet things into Dee's ear. Sanbao, awake again, looks on at Coco and Dee. The old man appears in very grave condition. Paul opens a loading dock door which doubles the sound of a descending helicopter. Sanbao coughs, catches Paul's eye. He weakly lifts a hand, moving fingers, waving Paul to him, looking expectantly at the police officer he only just met. "Listen, officer, help D." "We will. We are." "No, you. Make sure. Help D. Not me. I'm fine. Promise me." The old ailing billionaire, near death himself, succeeds at sounding commanding one last time. "Yes, sir, I promise. Paul says, and stiffens at attention. First helicopter. They kept a pair of twin-engine Airbus medevac helicopters on standby since Willie wired his information dump to Colonel Sun. With swapped out and vetted military medics, they started blazing over the Yangmingshan Mountains, unencumbered by typhoon weather after Dee called in when Paul first showed up. Wind is slight, but earlier bands of gray ground clouds have thickened into a shifting blanket of heavy fog, the chopper's biggest anticipated problem. The fog is expanding and will enshroud the area soon, but police units on the ground in Sanger say there remain several hundred meters of partial visibility so far, lesser minute by darkening minute. The landing site, the parking lot outside the fish chopper warehouse, is not large enough to accommodate both helicopters. The lead bird is going to pick up Wang Sanbao, and the second will hover above, waiting its turn. The same time helicopters sweep down over the mountains, the police cavalry arrives. 7 police cruisers screech to a stop outside. They block both directions of the 4-lane highway. Sanger's own police officers barricade the small street down from the convenience store and junior high school. Orders are simple. Make it impossible to view the fish chopper interior. A news van with a satellite dish on the roof approaches from the south around the last bend in Highway 2. Sirens blazing, one designated police car races out to block the van's path. While the panel van is still 100 meters from the fish chopper driveway, the Taiwan-made Luxgen cruiser screeches to a sideways stop, blocking the news van from coming any nearer. One traffic officer obeys peculiar commands. He jumps from his driver's side of the police cruiser and hurries to the van driver's side. He opens the van door and demands they hand over the keys. Stay inside your vehicle or we will arrest you for obstructing justice. This is your only warning. His partner sprints to the van and sprays white foam from a small fire extinguisher over every window, painting away all visibility from inside the van. The occupants of the van are shouting at the police and calling their station manager, excitedly reporting this egregious denial of their rights to free speech. But the station manager and their direct boss, the news producer, both tell the pair to take it easy and stand down this time. No one will be allowed near the national security crime scene. The first medical evacuation helicopter touches down. The non-military pilot and co-pilot's cell phone video calls remain on as ordered. They put a readied small blanket over the right side window and look straight ahead, waiting for the military medics to return as ordered. Officer Paul Hu doesn't wait for the medics, running out through the warehouse loading bay door to meet them, furiously waving for them to hurry. 4 military medics rush in with 2 rolling gurneys. They ignore the heavy coppery smell of blood and the 3 mangled corpses except to avoid slipping in the larger of 2 bloody messes on the way to gather Wang Sanbao. Paul pulls the lead team past and away from Wang Sanbao to where Dee is, his head cradled on Coco's lap. She shakes her head sorrowfully and scoots away to let them do what they could. He just stopped breathing, she says, softly weeping, so covered with blood she holds the new men's attention. Paul shouts, as best he can through painfully gritted teeth and broken jaw, "Work on him first, I command you. Treat him like the president of Taiwan. Do you understand me? I'm going to find out how hard you tried. I will find you later." Paul pushes one medic to make him work faster. He points at Dee and claps his hands like a coach, in the last minutes of a close game. Go! Hurry! This is your priority! He steps closer to the medics whose backs are to him, working to get intravenous feeds in both sides of Dee's neck and get him on the stretcher. Both injury and emotion distort Paul's voice. He stays close to the men, all the while peppering them with the unmistakable but barely decipherable sound of him yelling through gritted teeth as they hurry to put Dee on the gurney and rush him rolling out to the helicopter within minutes. The second team is right behind with an extremely pale, strapped-down Wang Sanbao. He is lying incline, conscious, and waving weakly at Coco, standing inside as they sprint him out. The second medical evacuation helicopter sets down, flown by military pilots who know to obey orders. Another pair of medics walks over, showing none of the panicked urgency of the first helicopter medics. They each push a waist-high gurney and carry large backpacks. Entering along with the medics, two middle-aged military officers report in low voices into Bluetooth microphones. Officer Paul Hu lingers a moment outside, looking up. Even after the first chopper disappeared in the fog, oblivious to every police officer's attention on him from half a block away, seeing the now famous man's lips moving and tears glistening in the light coming from both of his closed eyes.
And that's a wrap for today. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What stood out to you? If you're enjoying the journey, please share with a friend. It means the world to me. Want to hold the whole Danshui President Plunge adventure in your hand? It's waiting for you on Amazon. And if you do, please leave a quick review. Until next time, take care. I'll be right here ready for the next chapter. See you then.